I have just booked up for another tournament, and today I'm going to talk about my Necron Tournament List 8th edition.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, today I'm going to be talking about a tournament that I have entered, the Confrontation 3. Now, I've never been to this event before. It is currently sold out, 60 players, and I'm sure it's going to be a great event. Now, I'm generally not a tournament player. I have been to 2 tournaments previously. I've had a lot of fun. It's the type of thing that I did enjoy, but I don't necessarily want to go to tournaments every other weekend. However, as this is a local event to me, and I had my arm twisted by fellow YouTuber and tournament player Aceface, I thought I would give it a go. Now, you've seen Aceface on my channel before, and he has his own YouTube channel. I'll link you up to his channel just there. Go and check it out. He's a great guy, and I had a lot of fun in the previous tournament that we went to, so I'm sure I will this time. So today I thought I would do some first thoughts regarding this tournament, my list that I might take now that I've read the tournament pack. Now, of course, this tournament pack will probably change a little before the event. The event isn't until October, so I've got a long time yet. However, there's 1 or 2 things in this pack that I'd like to discuss with you guys, get some thoughts and feedback regarding the restrictions in this tournament pack, and also about my list ideas that I've currently got for this particular event. Now, of course, when I signed up to this event, I had every intention of playing
Necrons
at the tournament. After all, I'd played Necrons in my 2 previous events. Both were 7th edition. I took quite unusual lists, not necessarily the standard competitive style, but I thought I did pretty well. My first tournament I won 2 out of 5 games, and my second tournament I won 3 out of 5 games. Now, ideally I would love to better that, aim for 4 or possibly get a 5 win score. How about that? Maybe even win the event. Now, I've got a lot of negatives around that happening, and the key one is I'm not that experienced at playing different armies. I'm experienced at playing the game, but I don't play against too many different armies. I've never faced an Imperial Knight army. I've never faced a Dark Eldar army. There's lots of armies which I've never encountered, so I think that's a bit of a negative regarding me actually winning this event. However, I would like to do well at the event, not just for me, but for Necrons. If you would like to follow my journey to the Confrontation 3 tournament, not miss an upload, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss a video. So I signed up for this tournament. Once signed, I thought, great, I already have my basis for a competitive list. I'll link you up to my video about my competitive list there. However, I came across a few problems, and that was down to the rules pack. So the rules pack itself has the normal stuff in there. So for example, you've got to have your models painted, you've got to have the bases painted, and there's a scoring system regarding painting, etc. However, there was one paragraph that I read that's changed things for me regarding my tournament list. Now, also, you're not allowed to take Forge World. The missions will be from chapter approved or standard stuff. However, let's read this paragraph. Any sub-factions must be painted to represent that faction. So for example, an Ulthway craft world must all be painted to represent that craft world. We fully get that you can use your own faction or army and use any sub-faction rules, so this is cool to still do. However, if you are to mix 2 sub-factions, Ulthway and Olytic for example, they must be painted differently to reflect this. A single paint scheme all over and 2 sub-factions recorded on your list will be scored in the same way as any miniature not representing what it is supposed to be. Now, this didn't really come as a surprise. Basically, if you have 2 factions, you've got to have them painted as the factions are supposed to be. Now, I have 14,000 points of Necrons, but they're all painted the same. They're all painted in one dynasty. Of course, we didn't have dynasties, different faction rules back in the day. Even if we did, I think I would have my own colour scheme anyway. But the point is that I'm unable to play the 3 dynasties with the models that I've got. Now interestingly, I made a video about Necron Paint Schemes previously where we were talking about how to deal with this at tournaments. We were talking about using tokens maybe next to the units, painting the rims of the bases, but it's quite clear in this tournament pack you have to have the models painted like the dynasties if you want to use more than one faction. Now I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this is probably about right and as expected from any event like this. However, my army is painted in one colour and I'm not repainting it for anyone. Also, I'm not going to be buying new models just to go to this event. So I am down to one thing, one dynasty for my list. Okay, so I need to make a list from a single faction. I'm not going to buy any more models and I'm definitely not going to repaint any of my models. I would rather play with one dynasty and lose every game than repaint my army. However, Necrons are in a good place at the moment and it's definitely possible to make a very competitive list with just one dynasty. However, me being me, I don't just want to make a standard competitive list, a standard list that you will see on the table. There's going to be more Necron players there. After all, Necrons are quite popular now. We've got the new Codex, we've got Forgebane and the new Start Collecting box set. So I'd imagine we're going to see a fair few Necron armies. Unlike my previous events where I think there was only 2 or 3 Necron players out of 60 players including myself. So there's going to be Necrons there and there's probably going to be some standard type lists. Big warrior blobs, destroyer spam, Catan spam, etc. And I don't want to do that. I want to be a bit different. Now I am a big fan of assault Necrons. I've been playing flayed ones for many years. Wraiths and Scarabs, assault units are a lot of fun to play and the Novok dynasty suits them very well indeed. So I'm thinking I'm going to play Novok and we are talking about one dynasty here. So what about the idea of playing more of a themed list and just go all out assault? Now I know I'm going to be limiting myself. I'm going to have no psychic powers or Catan powers, I'm going to have no anti-psychic defense and I'm going to have no shooting. Can I take a Necron army to a tournament and not have a single gun on the table? Well, of course I can. It will be a challenge though, not having a shooting phase. Not having a shooting phase are going to make my games a lot easier. I'm only going to be basically moving and assaulting, no psychic, no shooting phase. That's going to help my concentration levels because I'm not going to have so many things to think about. However, of course, I'll be missing out on a big aspect of Warhammer 40k. However, full on assault definitely has a place in 40k, especially in 8th edition. So I'm thinking Wraiths, Scarabs, Flayed Ones, potentially Lich Guard, and then some Catacomb Command Barges. Although if I really limit myself to no guns whatsoever, they will have to be Destroyer Lords. As I said, not the most competitive list, but I think I've got a good chance at making that army work and at least winning maybe a few games. I don't know that I could win the event with that list, but let me know what you think about that. Do you think I can win the event with that list? I'm sure most of you will say no. However, it isn't necessarily about the army itself, it's about the person behind the army. If I play that army well enough, I potentially could do quite well with that list. But let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Hit my icon at the end of the video to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k. Beam me up!